a story, and I feel like every story will help and every story will heal.
Love this. Yes, good vibes, girl.
All right. Well, good vibes, right? Yeah. Welcome to the Art and Hustle Gala Conversations. Welcome here. I would love for you to introduce yourself. We met at Sunrise's beautiful brunch and also her big leap. So tell us about yourself and give me a little feedback about how the big leap went for you.
Hello all, especially all of you in the art and hustle world. It's great being here with good vibes and pretty faces. My name is Katrina Billy-Wilkinson, and I am a Brooklynite, born in the 70s, truly a 70s girl, the product of a teenage love, and a lover of all. I was at the Big Leap this past January. Supporting two of my girlfriends, my besties, my sister girls, but also for myself. It's always nice to be reminded of these tools and the power that we have internally to continue to help us push through life and basically not quit, because life is rough. Life is rough.
Yeah, it
And,
totally is.
every now and then, just like we go to get our physical health check, we need things to help our mental and emotional balance. And these types of events, I call them transformational, really helps me to reset my mind and to refocus. I knew what these ladies were going to bring because I've known them for over 20 plus years. And they just continue to be dynamic and to inspire me in great ways.
Mhm. You went to college with them, right?
Yes, yes. I met Tenora freshman year. We started at Lincoln in August of 92. And she was that friend that if she saw me stepping outside of my character,
Yeah.
she was going to sit me down and talk. That's why we grown to be so close, because everyone needs that. You don't need to be surrounded by a bunch of yes people, but you need people to do it delicately and with love. And that's what she always exuded. Sunrise and I met the following year when she joined Lincoln. We had already been friends with a few of the guys on campus, and she happened to be their cousin. And so naturally, we just loved her. And then once we got to grow and develop into women, our bond just got stronger as we supported each other through, life events and milestones.
It's beautiful because I met all of you guys at her brunch and I felt the beautiful energy and the camaraderie and the friendship and the sisterhood there. And as I spoke to anybody that I spoke to, everybody was like welcoming arms, and there was always some sort of connection that I had with them. So it was just a beautiful space to be in.
It really is. When I'm with my college girls, I feel like I'm home.
Mhm.
Um, you know, we started in 92, most of us. 89 of October, my mom died. I had two younger sisters, 1 and 3 at the time. It was very difficult for me to make the decision to go away to school. Lincoln was, in fact, the only school that I applied to away. And that was because my father forced me to do so. My cousin Helois had gone there, as well as my grandmother's brother had gone to Lincoln when it was an all boys school way
Wow.
back in the
Yeah.
day. So we did have some family history and connection there, but I wasn't interested in going. And I also was in love with, someone I wasn't supposed to be in love with. And I was so dead set on staying close. I wanted to go to Queens College and just do what I needed to do there. But God had another plan for me. And my father, I always say, this is why, parents sometimes do know what they're talking about and they do understand, because they can see things far beyond what we can see, and even for ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So he took me there for a visit, and I fell in love with the campus and the people. Still wasn't sure if I would go, but it didn't feel so foreign and so scary. And then my grandmother was just very strict. She was the mother of all mothers, and she had a strong hold. And I could never, break free and to be an individual that I wanted to be had I stayed. And so I decided to take the chance.
Mhm.
It was very difficult though, leaving my sisters behind. But I knew that if I could do well, they would see something and do well. So, you know, I'm grateful. It was a great choice. It was a
Yeah,
great.
I totally agree. Like it's really hard when you're going through a death of somebody that's super close to you know, your mother. Like my mother passed away in 2013,
Mhm.
and I've always said like her death was my rebirth. Like she gave me the voice that she never had. So,
I have to agree. I tell everyone, losing your mother, it is a rebirth because no one, I don't care if it's a spouse or child, no one will love you that unconditionally
yep.
as your parent, especially for those of us who have had strong relationships with our parents.
Mhm.
Um, they are truly here as a safety net, even as we grow up, and as guidance, and they give you that understanding. They know you like no one else.
Yeah,
And once that is gone, gravity changes for you. The
totally.
atmosphere is
Yeah.
different.
Yes.
You then become a lot of things outside of yourself and for others,
Mhm.
in my case. Because, you know, my mom died, but there was a series of deaths happening around that time in my family.
Mhm.
My mom passed away from a brain aneurysm. She
Wow.
was 31.
Mhm.
Her sister and brother also died young from an aneurysm.
Wow.
Around that time, my cousin was killed, supporting a friend, helping a friend. And
Mhm.
so it was a lot of trauma in my life at that time.
Yeah.
At the same time, being in college with my girlfriends and then being a support to me, helping me through and giving me the confidence because I felt all of these women were beautiful. All of my girls, it was 13 of us. I was like, they are so fly and so together and just they had experiences I
Oh,
had.
welcome to the Art Hustle Gallery Conversations. Welcome here. Please introduce yourself and your beautiful soul.
I am Katrina Billy-Wilkinson, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you and the listeners of Art and Hustle with all of your good vibes.
I love it so much. Now, we met at Sunrise's beautiful Sunday brunch, and there was just so many beautiful souls there, and the energy there was just so magnificent that, and then I met you at the Big Leap,
Yes, yes, yes,
right?
yes, yes.
And I just love your energy. And I was like, listen, we got to get on the podcast and get your story and get a little bit about your history and how you got to your career and all of that beautiful good stuff.
Yes, and I loved hearing your reunion story for you and Sunrise.
Mhm.
You know, I rekindled a relationship with one of my childhood best friends. Sadly, she passed away in
Oh, I'm
November,
sorry.
but I was happy we had that time.
Mhm.
And I actually just got a thank you card from her husband. And it was like, wow, I really can't
Oh,
believe she's still gone. But
wow.
we had a little reunion, and that was great. And I'm grateful for it.
Mhm.
Yes, not to put a damper on things so early in the conversation.
No, but this is life. This is why we have to be more
Real.
grateful and present because you really never know when your time is up, really. Because like I do kind of like my own little Tuesdays with Maury with my mentor teacher from high school. And he's
Wow.
like he's I think he's gonna be 77 now. So I do weekly ones with him to get all of his wit and wisdom because you really never know when your time is up.
You never do. And this woman, um, she left behind a young boy. She has a son who's starting high school, but one of her sons preceded her in death. And she thinks that's what really caused the manifestation of the cancer to enter her body because she was really trying to
Yes.
fight for justice for him
Yes.
because he was killed in a very malicious way
Oh my God.
in a housing project in New York.
Hmm.
And so for her to lose her firstborn, I can't even imagine what that is.
Yeah.
It goes against the order of life for parents to go before for kids to go before their
Yeah.
parents.
Yeah.
And she says she could never get over it. And she thinks that's what really caused her body to break down and to manifest the
Mhm.
brain cancer that she acquired.
Yeah.
But I've never met someone that was so at peace about what was happening.
Mhm.
She had to prepare me to come and see her. And I thought that was so strong of her because when people are sick, you want to be there for them. And she
Yeah.
was very supportive of her husband and her kids. And her husband, they had such a great love. They were
Oh,
true relationship goals at its
really?
best.
Oh
Let
my
me tell you
God.
something. And everyone that got up and spoke at that funeral spoke about their love and how it went out to every facet of the
Mhm.
family, friends, all of that stuff. So it was really a special moment. And then something else, because she knew she was going to pass, she did a lot of the work for her funeral. And
Mhm.
that was the first time I experienced someone having such a hand in it. And I've experienced loss in my life,
Yeah.
but to feel her presence in the things that we were participating in, it was really special and meaningful. And she was just a special person.
Mhm. Mhm. And
Mhm.
how long did you get to reconnect with her till she passed away?
So I guess for the last 3 years, not 3 years, 3 months of her death, because I am not on social media currently because of my job,
Mhm.
but everyone else is. So my sisters connected me to the fact that she had gotten sick. And so since that time, I'd gone and visited her a few times
Yeah.
and just wanted to reconnect. And it was so good because there were a lot of things I didn't even remember about our past that she
Wow.
reminded me of. And I was like, oh my gosh, that
Mhm.
was me. That was me.
That's what I love too. Like I reconnected with childhood friends like Sunrise and even friends that I went to first grade with.
Mhm.
And I went to first grade all the way up until high school, graduating high school. And he reminds me of how he remembers me. And it's such a beautiful thing to have that history. Like you can never have that same type of history with anybody else besides someone that you grew up with.
And that's the facts.
Mhm.
That's facts, as they would say.
Yeah.
Facts indeed.
Yeah.
Um, but I let her husband know that I'm a support to him and the young man, especially since I'm in education. She
Hmm.
had told me that, they couldn't really put in the work to find a suitable school for him because that's when she was first diagnosed.
Hmm.
So that's something I'm going to support now
Hmm.
with making sure that he's in a school that is sufficient and provides the rigor that's necessary to help
Yeah.
him get to the next level.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm still being her friend and still in service to her now.
Oh
With
my God. Well, thank God that you entered her life at this time and now you can be a support system to him and her
Mhm.
son.
Mhm.
Well, I'm
Absolutely.
so grateful for that. So let's tell the
Absolutely.
people what you are doing now. You're a principal.
I am. I'm a principal of a high school 9 through 12 with motivated students that do very well. It's a different lens for me. I've spent about 25 years in this career of mine. I
Hmm.
started as a sub because I did not want to be a teacher.
Hmm.
My my grandmother, my father, my uncles, like teaching is in our blood, and I
Yeah.
was running from it when I first went to Lincoln University. Shout out LU all day. When I first went to Lincoln, I was going for computer science, took one course and was like, that is not it.
Hmm.
And then I pretty much floundered around and just took classes until my senior year, and then realized when I looked to the left and to the right, my friends were they had declared majors, they had relationships with their department chairs. And I'm like, what's my department? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I guess I'm going into this teaching because I'm not going to stay here any longer, especially not with my girls.
Yeah.
So I took all of my requirements to be in education, to have an education major, emphasis on secondary education. And I also was a history major because I love history,
Hmm.
and ended up having like 22 plus credits, but I made it happen. And shout out to Tenora for being with me. If you
Hmm.
see this, Miss Stooks, you'll remember when we went to University Hall. because I wanted to make sure I was graduating because everyone in my family already had everything, but I still was wondering if I was going to graduate because I took so many of my required major courses. And sure enough, when we went there that night, I did the whole praise dance, she and I over there, because I was going to graduate. So as Sunrise says, I was a 10 in that moment.
Yes.
In that
Yes.
year, I was
Mhm.
in my 10,
Yeah.
and I made things happen. And so coming out of there, I worked for about 6 months at the Ramada Plaza Hotel at JFK. It's not even there anymore. The building is, but it's shut down.
Mhm.
And just realized that was boring. I was not engaged. I didn't feel anything. It was just, I felt like my life was wasted.
Yeah.
Um, and then got into a middle school and just really loved it. I started as a sub, as I stated, and I had teachers that had been in the career longer than me asking me, how do I keep kids together? How do I create such rapport? how
Mhm.
how are you able to connect with kids? How do you get them to listen? And it was not, I wasn't doing anything outside of who I am, and I realized it was a divine calling
Mm.
for
You got
me.
a gift.
I did, and a knack for it,
Mm.
and I started to love it because every day I went to work, it was something different as opposed to what I was experiencing in the accounting department at the
Mm.
Ramada Plaza Hotel.
Yeah.
It was just every day coming and doing the same thing, picking up where I left off,
Yeah.
leaving, But this, like one day, Sarah could be crazy, another day, Sarah's good, and somebody else is like kids are kids, and each day is a different experience, even though I'm going to the same place. The
Mhm.
outcome looks completely different because you're dealing with real people.
Yeah.
And I am a lover of people.
Mhm.
So whether they're big or small, I'm
Mm.
into them.
Mhm.
You know, I meet them excited, just really excited to know who they are and what gifts they come with, because we all come with gifts. And
Yes.
how can I support them into learning to be the best person they can be? And that's relative, right? That's as per individuals, because
Mhm.
everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, but really bringing out the best of whoever they are or they're meant to be, and supporting families to stay together and to blend well, and to create support systems for sustainability for families, and just to directly have my hand on the future. And
Yes.
that's what these young people are. They are the future. They're going to be the ones making decisions and be the ones taking us to the next space, and making policies and things like that. So having impact there, I call it God's work,
Mhm. Mhm.
because at the same time, you got to make sure these are not your kids.
Yeah.
You cannot approach them as you would your own kid or family.
Mm.
And so it's truly a fine balance. Um, but it's been a rewarding experience. I have about 25 years, maybe 26 years on the job now.
Mhm.
And I just really feel blessed for the career I've had, for
Mhm.
the communities I've served, for the students I've worked with, and for the people I've come in contact with that are also passionate about this work.
Yeah.
We've done some amazing things, and
I love it.
I'm
I
proud
love
of
it. I think it's beautiful, and I am super excited that I got to meet you to
it.
get your story. And
So,
also,
right before I went to college in October of '89, my mom passed away from a brain aneurysm, just dropped dead. Um, we later found out this is a family um, illness because her brother passed at 40, her sister at 50,
wow.
and the same thing. One of my uncles was able to catch it and had surgery.
Yeah.
So this is something me and my cousins and my siblings, we get checked out for periodically.
Mm.
Um, the reality is it it changed my life when it happened because I was the only child, period.
Mhm.
I'm the product of of a teenage love. My parents were together in high school.
Mhm.
Um, and then of course, my mother being 16 when she's pregnant, my grandmother is the one that brought us home from from the hospital,
Mhm.
and she raised us both.
Mm.
So when my mother got to be of age and to really be out, to go and do her own thing, I stayed with my grandmother because she had stability. And I tell people my grandmother was the mother of all mothers
Mm.
because she wasn't letting my mother take me if she didn't have something stable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was protected. And that
Mhm.
was something that my mother and father both wanted. So when my mother left the nest, she went off, and she and my sister's father, I have two sisters with my mom.
Mhm.
They created a life together.
Mhm.
But when my mom passed, that my sisters came to live with us at that
Yeah.
point. They were 1 and 3.
Mhm.
And it was very upsetting for me because it's always sad for me to see kids grow up without their parents.
Yeah.
Um, And so for my 1 and 3-year-old sister, for me, then 2 years later, because I graduated in 92, to think about leaving them, I just wasn't really bought into it. On top of which, I was in love with someone that I needed to get away from anyway, but I was too blind to see it
Yeah. Yeah.
and was trying to stay home
Mhm.
instead of going away. I was going to go to Queens College. I did not apply to go to any schools outside of CUNY,
Mhm.
except for one, which was Lincoln, and that was as per my father's mandate,
Mhm.
because he just wanted me to have options. And
Yeah.
this is why I tell all the young people, don't always think your parents don't know what they're talking about. They've lived a life. They have to know a little more than you, even
Yeah,
if
they've
you're
lived some
intelligent book.
life. They definitely
Yes.
lived some life.
And experience means everything. I don't care what you read in a book. If you
Yeah.
have life experiences, certain things, you have more knowledge than you would from a book.
Yep.
So because he did that, it did give me an option that I never even knew I wanted.
Yeah.
And when time came, he kept me up to date with all of that. When they had the every deadline he was on, because I was trying to forget every deadline because I wasn't going. So
You're
every
like, I'm
deadline he
not
was,
doing
yeah,
it.
I'm
I'm not
not,
doing it.
so I guess he knew, let me keep up with these things because she gonna make the excuse that she missed it because of
Well,
whatever.
thank God he did, right?
Yeah.
Thank God he did.
And I ended up going and loving it because my grandmother was very strong
Mhm.
willed and had a strong hold on me.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to the mall with my friends. I couldn't go to the party next door.
Mhm.
And I needed to be in the house when the lights went out, came on outside,
Mhm.
even if I was sitting on the block.
Mhm.
So I knew that I would need to get away from that in order to develop into whoever I was going to be,
Mhm.
to have experiences and to be able to trust myself,
Yeah,
right?
find your own voice.
Yes, because if your parents are constantly putting guardrails on, when do you get the confidence to trust your own decisions and your own
Exactly.
thought without, outside of them, right?
Mhm.
And you want them to be independent. And I tell parents all of the time, as parents, your job is to protect kids from making bad decisions, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, you have to take those rails down and they have to feel they have the confidence and they need to know you trust them to do those things as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So it worked out. I went to Lincoln, found some fly girls,
A lot of fly
a
girls.
lot of fly girls.
Mhm.
And that also built my confidence because I was like, wow, if these fly girls don't mind me being with them, I must be fly too. Like it really
Yeah.
was a self check for myself because
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of confidence. I
Mhm.
was in an abusive relationship in high school.
Mhm.
He was physically abusive and verbally abusive. My family didn't know toward until the end, but I don't think they even know how bad it was.
Really?
And so me going to college and losing my mom, like I could have got caught up in all sorts of crazy things,
Yes.
but I
Yeah.
had a strong foundation in God. That's one thing my grandmother instilled. We were in church all the time.
Mhm.
I was in the choir. I loved to sing. I was the president of the Brooklyn Youth Council for the AME Zion Church.
Mhm.
Then I became the New York City Conference Youth Direct president. So I was I was in church. I
Yeah.
was involved heavily before I went to school. And then after I came back for a while, I was still in my old school until I got into a relationship with my college sweetheart. And that's how I met Sunrise. But
Mm,
his family had a church as well. So I
mm,
just started going to their church because they had so many young people.
mm,
And it was in my old church, I was like, everyone had left. They had had kids, they left, they didn't want to be bothered anymore. So everything fell on me when
mm,
there was work to do. And that wasn't fun for me. I didn't have companionship, I didn't have support, and it was just very isolating.
mm.
So going to this church and meeting, being in the presence of all, they had so many young people
Yeah.
and actively engaged in church and passionate about church.
Mm,
And the choir was everything. I joined the choir and we were a whole movement in and of ourselves.
mm,
And it's still some of the best work that I've done. But, thinking about my life back then in high school and the things I went through, it also connects me with my kids because
mm.
they see me today
Yeah.
and would never believe
The
that I
things you
was
went through.
what?
The
That my
things.
boyfriend, beat me up in front of the school in
Yeah.
high school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I was too cute. He didn't like what I looked. I was too cute. He was just very jealous and
Mm,
scared.
mhm.
Like they would never know those types of things.
Yeah.
And it's always an honor and a privilege for me to share because I need them to see that we all have a journey
Yeah.
and
We all
that
have a
journey,
story.
right?
We all
And
have
it
a
could
story.
be,
And that's why I feel like that's why I'm doing the podcast. Every story will help and every story will heal,
hmm yeah,
you know? And for you to be vulnerable and to tell us your story of like you went through abuse, your boyfriend was mentally and physically abusive, and that stuff happens to a lot of us that a lot of people don't even talk about, and you would never even think, because I
hmm
met you and I felt like you were this super strong confident woman, and we went through an exercise on the big leap where it was kind of like, what's holding you back, like what are some things that you want to let go of. And some of the things that you were mentioning, I was looking at you like, wow, I would never think that you would need to let those things go. And then you would speak to another woman where they would want to let some stuff go. And you just realize that we're all holding on to the same things.
yes, sis, the same things. And it's through these shares
Yes.
that we find common ground, right? That we feel like, oh, it's not just me. And that's even an aha moment that makes you feel like, okay, I wasn't, as bad as I thought, or this isn't just about me. It's about us. It's things that women go through. Let's try to keep this from happening for other generations.
Yeah.
And we just want to keep, each one teaching one. It's better for us to share than not. Although I understand why some women are hesitant
Mhm.
because of judgment. And fear of what people are going to think, right? All of those things, because I
Mhm.
get caught up in my head about those things as well.
Yeah.
But what works for me is just reminding myself of some things about who I am, right? And how people hear me in a way that I didn't even realize they hear me, and how much it means for people to hear this was me. That could be you, but look at where we are, right? This is the before and the after.
Yeah.
We just got to go through the process because
Mhm.
it's happening for all of us, right?
Mhm.
And it's together we get through it. Together we get
Exactly.
through it.
Exactly. And it's through all of these stories that we hear. Like you seem to, you have this story where you have this background and someone else might hear and be like, wow, I didn't know that. But if she can go through that and she
Mhm.
can be this successful woman who's a principal now and strong and helping all these people, I can get through it too,
I agree.
you know?
You can see in the corner of my screen, I'm gonna point over here, that picture. That's my mother and my sisters and my grandmother.
Oh, I love it.
And it says, for every generation, a beautiful, intelligent woman has made the Billy name proud. And so that was given as a Christmas gift from my cousin Marcus, who grew up like my brother.
Mhm.
His father and my mother were brother and sister, and they were very close. So my grandmother raised us together, and that was so special to me It was just really, it's everyone's graduation picture.
Yeah,
Forever hold it dear.
I love it. And each one has their own story.
Mhm.
And that's why I'm doing this podcast, because every person that I meet, everybody has a story. And I feel like, well, each story will help and each story will heal. And it's the art of living. It's not just art and hustle, it's the art of living,
I love it.
you know? And I'm just going to, go one story at a time. Each person, I'm going to get their story and bring it out there. Because also, when I talk to my mentor, to my Tuesdays with Morel, his name is Schiavo, each week, we realize like there's a wisdom to it, but there's also like a legacy that we're leaving behind too, because like now it's become a bigger thing that now I can lead these conversations technically to my kids and to everyone else.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a beautiful legacy to leave on. Like whenever they need an advice or they need something
Mhm.
to hear, they can go on these
Mhm.
podcasts and hear it.
Mhm.
Each story, each person, everybody has like a little tidbit of how to live a better life.
So true, Linda. Um, I think this platform that you created is awesome. There are a few layers that perhaps we can pull back because that's just the beginning of a journey for me.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, being I have gone through a lot of transformation,
Mhm.
and transformational work supported that transformation. I'll say that
Yeah.
because there was a real. I've always considered myself to be a very prideful woman, right?
Hmm.
And never when people would speak about suicide and things like that, I would feel somewhat. I'll be honest, like you know, sh- shocked. Appalled at times, like, how could they think?
Hmm.
Until life really hit me, and I had those thoughts because, of heartache and heartbreak,
Yeah.
and, it really showed me that, life can come at any time, and it can attack many ways,
Mhm.
and don't ever get too comfortable with it because you need to make sure you have a strong belief system in something outside of yourself in those dark moments,
Yeah.
and you need skills to help move forward
Yeah.
because a lot of us we don't have a problem going to the doctor when we have physical ailments, but we don't want to go check in when when we're having mental issues.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand.
Hmm.
Just like you have to get prescriptions for physical
Hmm.
support, you need to get yourself physicals for mental and emotional health,
Yeah.
because in those dark moments, if you are not grounded and you do not have tools, it will go.
It'll take over. It'll
Yeah.
take over. And it's insidious. Like you don't even realize how
Mhm,
deep you can be or how depressed you can
mhm,
be,
mhm,
and I can completely relate to that. At one point, like I never got to the point where I was suicidal, but I've gotten to really, really deep, dark places where it's either them or me.
mm,
You know what I mean? It's either them or me, or do I have to find another path?
mhm.
And I had to think that when I was a teenager
Wow.
because I grew up in a very violent household. So I
Wow.
was mentally, physically, and sexually abused.
Wow. So I have to say, growing up were some of the best years of my life as a child.
Mhm.
Like I said, my grandmother was that woman.
Mhm.
Um, if anyone had tried anything, they wouldn't be here today.
Mhm.
Um, so I was protected in that way. Although I don't think any house can say they were functional. I think we all have dysfunction.
Yeah.
You know, my grandfather was an alcoholic, like he'd come in every day angry. I just thought my grandmother was a superwoman. Like
Mhm.
the things she managed, even with her kids, with her husband, then raising grandkids and
Yeah.
being a teacher and
Yeah.
living off of a teacher's salary. We went to Disney World multiple times.
Oh.
But every year she made sure we got out of the city, even if it was in her car to Baltimore to her sister's house or to North Carolina to another. We did road trips. But she truly believed in family. And what she created for us, it's just irreplaceable. And I feel so blessed for it. My friends have benefited from it. Like she was just so loving. She's always been community and she's always been in contribution to community.
Yeah.
So my childhood years were amazing. But when she got Alzheimer's,
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast too in itself, right? That's a whole nother podcast.
and she was my everything. And I still deal with that loss every now and then. And she died in 2010.
Mm.
2010 was the year that I
We really,
considered to take
oh,
myself
oh
out for
my
many
God.
reasons.
I'm so
But
sorry.
like I said, like
Mm.
you said, this is another podcast and we'll go there
I
another
feel like
time.
we're gonna do a few of these, Trina. I feel like we're gonna unpack a few layers and go deeper into a couple of other places that I feel like would be beautiful if we can chat more about this.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for this time and for this
Thank you.
intro.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me in this little intro. We're gonna have to do more of these. We might have to do like a couple of weekly ones with you if
I'd
you're
like it.
interested.
I'd like it. I'm in.
So,
I'm
like,
in.
I just want to thank you. You gifted Tam momentum.
Absolutely. Mm, 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 mm,
So
mm,
she,
mm,
I
mm,
just,
mm,
I
mm,
just did a conversation with her where she gave me her feedback of her advance, and she's gonna go into leadership.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
And I'm so glad that I connected with her because she saw the podcast I did with Sunrise, where
Mhm,
she connected to my story. And she was like, Linda, that's my story. And I
mhm.
saw that feedback. And then I met her on that Sunday at the brunch where she didn't even know I was going to be there. And she's like, oh my God, Art and Hustle's in the house.
I'm telling
So,
you.
so I chatted with her and I was like, Tam, if you're interested, I would love to have you on a weekly because it's helped me find my voice and helped gifted me to be able to share my story and be able to talk to everybody. So I was like, if you want to come on too, let's do a weekly because there's nothing like doing a podcast, then seeing yourself on a 58-inch TV to listen to yourself and watch yourself talk. There's there's no type of experience that really can get you out of body experience to really look at yourself. And
Well,
so
I'm looking forward to it.
yeah, it really just wakes you up and like, oh my God. And because you're doing it weekly. So like you can't really fully prepare yourself every single week. So
You
some weeks
can't.
you're
It's
good.
just a conversation.
It's just a conversation. So you really start to see yourself. And then eventually I told her, I was like, you start to like yourself, you like your voice, you like your jokes.
Oh,
And it's gifted me that. So I was like, I offered it to her. And if you're interested, we can chat
I
weekly.
am. My next phase, because I got a real job for all of this. Let me just say this quickly. I got the real job, like everyone said. But the next thing for me, because I used to sing, like I said, but I don't want to be in front of in the talent. I want to write. So I'm gonna win a Grammy for songwriting,
There you go.
and I'm gonna open up a spot
Mhm.
for me to
Produ-
host and highlight
Yeah.
new and upcoming talent.
Yeah, like produce them or something like that. Or I'm not sure the lingo for it, but you're gonna help them
That's what my
get it
goal
out
is.
there. I love
Hmm.
it. I love it.
That's the goal for the next phase when I retire in a few years.
I love it. I love it. So put it out there. It's gonna
I am.
happen. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again next week or something.
Thank you. Take care,
Okay.
Linda.
Take care. Bye. I just want to get to know you. And since I met you and I felt your energy, I was like, I have to, chat with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. It's great seeing you, Linda. You look amazing.
Thank you. So do you. I love your hair, your glasses.
Thank you.
Love it. I love it.
But let me put on a little red. My backsplash is washing me out, but it's okay. And people won't know if I'm big or small.
I love it. No matter what, it's all good. It's all good. You ready?
Yes, I am.
So it's just a regular casual conversations. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, but I just want to know about you and your story. And then if you feel like, like ask me some questions, just keep it real casual, just like
Okay.
girlfriends talking.
Okay.
That's how I like to do it. Just really casual. Okay.
I'm
Ready?
with you.
Like you can bring your tea. You can have a little tea.
I got my little drink. Well, it's not a drink, but it's, something to drink in case my
Well, it
mouth.
looks like a little drink.
I said I should be fancy like you with a nice little
That's
cute
a mini
cup.
version.
I love it. I love it.
We can do little happy hour mini versions.
You know.
We always need a little happy hour. Okay.